Aloha and welcome to the very first episode of HNN Overtime, the Hawaii News Now sports podcast. I am your host, resident sports guy Kyle Chinen, joined by my partner in crime, co-host Davis Pitner. We finally have our show. We have a sports podcast. It is about time, my friend.
It's been in the waiting, and it's been in the making, and something that I know we've been working hard to put together nonstop. It's been a long process.
Exactly.
So finally we've been able to do it. Yes.
Oh my goodness. It is going to be so fun just to, cover anything, under the sun, anything in between sports here in the islands. And I'm excited to do it with you, my friend.
Absolutely. Sports has been a big thing in our lives, and it's something that I think that we're going to be able to add our own personal experiences, our own thoughts on things, and bringing it to everyone here listening. So
exactly. And before we get into a little bit introductions of ourselves, let's go into the name. And we've already been kind of talking about it. HNN Overtime. You have the normal sports coverage on air, Hawaii News Now, but it's really only 2 minutes at a time for one sport. This show is overtime. We have unlimited time to kind of get into the nooks and crannies of every little detail of a sports story here in the islands. And with that, we'll get into introductions. So we will start with you, my friend. A little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Everyone recognizes you. You're the one on TV. I'm kind of the one who's behind the scenes. This is still a little weird for me. I'm originally from Los Angeles, and I, played high school football, of course, over there. I did really well. I got recruited to play football over in Oregon, over at Linfield College. Go Wildcats. And long time playing football. Then I somehow got over here in Hawaii to work at HNN, and I do a lot of the other podcasts here. I do The Other Side of Paradise. Jim's telling me a story, and now we're starting this thing. So super excited. You
are Mr. Podcasts, really Mr. Podcast. And I'm not too sure, but just your official title with the here at HNN, your official title. Your official title.
I question that. I've been trying to figure that out for years now.
Yeah.
I guess it's technically a digital content producer, podcast producer, and also a photographer too. So yeah, a little bit of everything. Just really, kind of like you're multitasking. You're going out. You're doing whatever. You're nonstop these days.
It's especially during season, especially during this time. It's March, obviously, which we'll get to in this episode. But yeah, a little bit about myself. Again, like you guys know, I'm the sports reporter here at Hawaii News Now. I am a born and bred local boy from here on Oahu. I'm from Mililani. Went to Mililani High School. Go Trojans, state champs. I don't know if you know that, but we did that.
Sorry, I didn't. Hey, thanks for bringing that up.
Of course, I'll bring it up many more times as we get this going. Okay. But yeah, went to Mililani. Played football there, obviously, and then was able to get the opportunity to get a scholarship to go play at a small NAIA school in Sioux City, Iowa, which is a little bit of a ways away. Shout out to Briarcliff University. Graduated there, played some ball there for 4 years, graduated, got my degree in mass communications, and fast forward to, I guess, where we're at right now. I ended up here at Hawaii News Now, got the opportunity to cover sports and tell the sports stories here in our beautiful state.
Well, you're doing a great job, and us too. I mean, I'm sure we'll go into it later on in future podcasts, but we've been on a lot of stories together too. Most recently Vegas, and
right.
We covered the Warriors playing over there, and then also the Raiders game too, which was really fun.
Right, that was super fun. I think with this job in itself, it lets us do a lot of cool and interesting things, and it's just a great opportunity, I know, for you as well, that we just get to experience it. And you're right, the trip to Las Vegas for the Rainbow Warriors football team was definitely one to remember. A lot of running around, a lot of things to cover, but again, super fun. And, when I think back to it, that's really where the idea for this podcast kind of came to be. We did a little test run podcast while we were in Vegas,
we did.
And I think we both it clicked for you, obviously. This is your brainchild, and I am just along for the ride to just be a part of something, But that's kind of where we first started talking together on a microphone.
Yeah, I working together and, also playing the same exact position in football too. I think we think a lot of the same too. And, I think it's going to be great to bring our perspective on things to this podcast and how we talk about sports going on here in Hawaii.
With that said, I think let's get into the pod.
Let's get into some sports.
Let's go.
Yeah, so a lot coming up, especially this week. We've got March Madness coming up. This is probably my favorite time of the year. I am so into making brackets. I'm so into learning more about the teams because, I'm going to be honest. I don't follow college, that much, but I love competing with my other friends and everything and creating brackets, learning more about the teams. It's just an exciting time of the year.
Yeah, that's right. It's an exciting time for sure on the men's side and the women's side more specifically because our home team, University of Hawaii Rainbow Wahine basketball team, they are dancing. They're in the big dance this year. Just an unbelievable regular season run to the tournament play for the Big West Conference. 2022 Big West Conference champions. So they got the automatic berth into the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2016. It has just been a very, very exciting.
It's been a crazy ride for them.
It has been insane, given the roster difficulties throughout the year. But then they've been on a tear. They won 8 of their last games and won the regular season title. Then went into Henderson, Nevada this past weekend and took the overall championship. They have the Conference Player of the Year, Amy Atwell, the 6th-year senior out of Australia, which is kind of funny because I'm pretty sure we're the same age or she's older than me. I don't know. We don't know, but that has been their stud, their star for the last 6 years. For this season in particular, she has been playing lights out. And then, they just have a great supporting cast around her that also makes plays, that also performs night in and night out for that team. Yeah,
UH coming in with the 15th seed in the bracket this year. It really all revolves around Amy, in my opinion. If Amy's going to do well, the team's going to do well, but they have a really hard matchup this year. They're going to be playing Baylor.
Exactly. Historically, just when you think of seeding and the matchups, a number 2 seed going against the number 15th seed, it doesn't usually favor the 15th seed, right? But, like you said, Amy needs to perform well, and I think if she doesn't, they have to have a unbelievable night by the supporting cast of Wahine. In order to stay close with this team who, is the Big 12 runner-up. So they got into the tourney as the number 2 seed. They lost to Texas in the Big 12 championship. So that's the only reason I believe that they're in the number 2 spot as opposed to a number 1 seed. And then Hawaii, Big West champs, so they get bumped up from the last seed into that 15th spot. But Baylor has studs, more specifically, Nalissa Smith is the reigning Wade Trophy winner.
She's pretty unreal coming into this bracket. She's scary for all these teams coming in. And if we're able to, stop Smith, that we might have a chance. Amy gets going, but it's going to be a tough one.
Right. And, I've covered this team all year, and sometimes they get off to these slow starts, and they've been able to dig their way out of it. But, they've never faced a Power 5 opponent like a Baylor. They're going to have to rely on that defense. If their offense, they can't score points, they need to be stingy on defense in order to shut down Smith and the Lady Bears as a whole. And we were just talking about travel. They left this morning. A little bit of a controversial decision was for them to come home on Sunday. So they played their Big West tournament in Henderson, Nevada, which is, on the West Coast and that on the mainland already. They make the decision to fly home the following day on that Sunday, come home here, take a day off, rest, sleep in their own beds, and then today they have a big, celebratory send-off just to fly over 7 hours to Texas from here.
Yeah, and you were there at that, and what was the vibe like? What were the players like? What were they concentrating? What we go into this. From experience. College athletes. There's a certain mentality you have to have going into a big game, and this is a big game coming up.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So what was it like for you when you were over there?
I think it was definitely happy, light mood, just because they do have a big game coming up, but they play on Friday, and it's they play on Friday. It's early in the week. They don't necessarily have to be in game mode now. They can kind of soak in the moment. There was a lot of just fans and other sports teams and things like that there to support them, send them off. The cheer team was there, the band and all that. So it really was light. They were enjoying the moment, soaking it in. We asked them, we talked to Callan Spiller, the UH a player. She is a graduate transfer this season. But we asked them, you guys decided to come home, and then you guys are going to get back on Hawaii time, then fly into Texas, get into, I think, that central time zone. Yeah. So, what was the decision and, how you guys kind of combating that? And, their answer was they do it every year, every week, basically. This past conference schedule, they're going every other week. They're flying into California, flying back. So their mentality is they're not too concerned about flying and this, because they've done it. They have no choice but to fly to the mainland for road games. Yeah. So they said they're used to it. And then, when asked about taking on this Baylor team, Callan, had, sung their praises, but also, knew what they needed to look at and look to stop. So here's what she had to say about that.
I think Baylor is a very experienced team. Obviously, they have a lot of great competition in the Big 12, so they've played a lot of great competition. They're very athletic, very physical. I think in a lot of ways they're going to challenge us, but I think if we bring our game as a Hawaii program, we're going to put up a fight, and I'm very excited to challenge ourselves and apply everything we've learned this season.
It kind of just shows just the scrappiness of this team. They've been down in games before. Most recently in the semifinal, or not the semifinal, the quarterfinal game, they were down and they only won by 1 point. So that was a real nail biter.
Yeah.
And then contrast that to the following game in the semifinals of the Big West, and they blow them out by double digits. And then again in the championship game, they were down at halftime, went on an amazing run, ended up taking the title by 10 points. So it just kind of, that's just been their mentality, that scrappy mentality. They don't really see the bright lights of it yet. Again, too, most of the roster is young. It's a young team despite besides Callan and Amy. So it's one of those things of they're young and they can just go into it with fresh eyes.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have a question for you've been at the games.
Right.
This is Amy's last year. Do you think she's ready for this?
Oh, I think she's been preparing for this moment for the last 6 years. When we asked her at the beginning of this season, she had the option to either just graduate or, come back. And she made the decision to come back and use her very last year of eligibility to play. And her whole model this whole year was unfinished business, right? She wanted to bring the school a conference championship. She wanted them to go to the NCAA tournament. So they were just kind of checking boxes, throughout the season, and she was putting up monstrous performances. She is the reigning conference player of the year for a reason. And so I think she's been preparing for this moment her whole career, basically. It's kind of funny. We spoke to her when they got home on Sunday, and we were saying, growing up in Australia, was March Madness or the NCAA tournament ever like a childhood dream of yours? And she openly, honestly said, they don't really follow it in Australia. So she didn't really know what the big hype was about it. But, her freshman year in 2016 was the last time this program made it to the NCAAs. So for her to experience that her freshman year and then go 6 years without seeing or experiencing that again, I think has gotten her hungry and ready to take that next step and, hopefully take this leap and make, the the upset against this number 2 Baylor team.
It really shows her love for the program too.
Right.
Not everyone would stay for 6 years.
Right, exactly. And she has every opportunity and every ability to go pro, whether it be I personally think she's a WNBA player, other professional leagues, but she decided to come back and finish. I think she has like a master's or something way more than I have, right? So she's finishing up her school, and then obviously one more run. We've been calling it The Last Dance, like Michael Jordan and the Bulls in that documentary. Yeah. This is kind of her last dance. And
Amy's that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. She is everything that is advertised and more.
It's exciting. And like I said in the beginning, I'm obsessed with March Madness. I'm obsessed with brackets. So we put together an HNN March Madness bracket for this competition, and in my opinion, this is the best case scenario for UH. This is if UH is able to perform, Amy is able to perform. Right. This is something that I put together. So we're going to go through each of these and each of them in the conference and kind of go over, what each team is looking like. All right, so let's dive into this, Kyle. So this is, once again, the best case scenario for UH. This is if they're able to perform every single game at their best. This is if Amy is able to perform, if everyone else around her is able to perform at their best. So let's take a look at this. We're going through the bracket just kind of briefly. I have Louisville going all the way up to the Sweet 16. Same with UH. I have them going over there. Bracket pretty much, picking the higher seeds at the beginning. I do have one upset. I am calling for Belmont to be Oregon number 5. So Belmont number 12 is going to be Oregon number 5. I think Belmont just has kind of the star players, and Oregon has kind of been struggling recently, which is why I think Belmont's going to take it. Also, some people might not say it's likely, but I also have Buffalo also going to be making an upset against number 4 Tennessee. I think that Buffalo, has what it takes. Tennessee has kind of had some injuries, a little bit of struggles. They've been on and off most recently, so we're going to go with Buffalo on this one. So those are the two biggest upsets in the Wichita region that Hawaii is in. So, of course, those are the upsets. I have Louisville going up to the Sweet 16, UH also going up to the Sweet 16. This is the best case scenario, remember. All right, so this is if UH is able to play at their best. So I have Hawaii beating Louisville in the Sweet 16, making it to the Final Four. We're going to go over some of the other brackets super briefly. I have South Carolina versus Iowa in the Sweet 16. Iowa and South Carolina both having probably two of the best players in the entire tournament. We're going to be talking about Aaliyah Boston from South Carolina and Caitlin Clark from Iowa. So this is going to be quite the game. This is going to be a game to watch in the Sweet 16 for sure. If this does happen, both of these amazing players are going to be going at it versus each other. So I think that is going to be a game to watch. I do have South Carolina coming up top, so South Carolina will be playing Hawaii in the Final Four.
Moving on finally to the Spokane region, we have number 1 Stanford, the defending national champions. They are looking for a repeat. They're looking to get back to the Final Four, and we think they just have the firepower to get to the Final Four. There was lingering suspicion that we might, University of Hawaii might draw Stanford in the opening round, so we didn't face the Cardinal now, but we do think that they will be making it out of regionals into the Final Four.
Moving on to the Bridgeport Conference, we have North Carolina State versus UCF. North Carolina State coming in with one of the best players in the nation, Alyssa Kunin, who is a 6'5" senior and is a dominant force. So we have them in the Sweet 16 and North Carolina State coming up top. So that means our Final Four is going to be South Carolina, Stanford, North Carolina State, and if everything is right, Hawaii. And Amy's once again going to have to perform to that star level that we all know she can be.
Exactly. And, again, like we've been saying, this is best case scenario for Hawaii. They have to be playing out of their minds. They just have to be an insane team to be able to pull off the Cinderella story, pull up every upset leading into this. And, if they can play at their best, this is a winnable game. It's going to be a tough one, but we see them moving on past the number 1 seed out of the Greensboro region to move on to the championship game. And on the other side of the bracket, you got number 1 Stanford, reigning champ Stanford going up against North Carolina State. And again, like we're saying, Stanford is a hot team. They are on a, not a revenge tour because they won it last year, but they are on a tear looking to get back to the top again, go back to back. So they are trying to run it back, and they will take down NC State to make it to the championship game, which pits the number 15th seed Rainbow Wahine and the number 1 seeded Stanford Cardinal. And, like we said, we are big on upsets today, Mr. Pitner. We are big on upsets.
Yeah, and once again, this is, the best case scenario for Hawaii. And, this is them beating out all the other top-ranked teams. This is, if they are able to pull this off, it's going to be unreal. It's going to be historic.
Pandemonium.
It's going to be pandemonium. I wouldn't even be able to picture what it's going to be like in Hawaii.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's like, in our perfect scenario for this bracket, they've been able to upset all these other teams, and why not just go for the top? Why not be able to shut down a Stanford team and deny them that back-to-back championship?
Yeah, and if it comes to that, it's going to be really hard. Stanford bringing back majority of their players. They have stars, everywhere. If this comes true, UH is going to have to play out of their minds.
Exactly.
In order to do this.
It has to be, like we said, best case scenario. It has to be best case scenario for them too. They got to be playing at their absolute peak. And, what a better time to do that than in March Madness. And with that is our March Madness for the women's bracket. And we will wrap that up. That was fun, crazy, insane. I don't know how to.
It's a little mad.
Yeah, it's a little mad. It's madness. All right, my friend, it is the time of the show we get to have a little bit of fun. We don't really have a name for this segment yet, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a debate segment, a little bit of a top 3 situation. So we're going to start off with something that I think is near and dear to our hearts whenever we go to a sporting event or to an arena to watch a sport. Top 3 stadium/arena snacks. And obviously we both played offensive line in football, and we are no stranger to snacks or anything really in between. So
this is a really important topic here for us.
I think it rivals our March Madness picks because this is very near and dear to our hearts. So I will start with my top 3, and we'll go back and forth, and then you can go over yours. So my top 3, my number 3 is good old-fashioned popcorn. When you go into a stadium, it's the first thing that hits your nose is that smell of freshly popped popcorn. You can hear it in the machine. You always go, it's a little salty, so you need a little drink to counteract the saltiness a little bit. But nice, good old-fashioned popcorn. Eat it with your hands. Enjoy the game. Most of the time, when something good happens and your team scores or whatnot, it's good for confetti as well. You can throw it. It ends up on the floor. It's a little bit of a mess, but popcorn, delicious.
All right.
Also for movies as well. But this is sports, obviously. I love popcorn at a theater. Number 2, we got a hot pretzel. It's weird. I'm not a fan of the small, hard, crunchy ones that they put in like Chex Mix or whatnot, but a big hot pretzel with the salt and the sauce, the dipping sauce.
Kyle, you're making me hungry here, man.
I know, so am I. It's almost time. Yeah, it's time to go grab a snack after this show. But hot pretzel, the dipping sauce, you can change it up. I used to go. There's all those places in the mall, but like usually when you go to a stadium, it's either mustard or cheese sauce. I do both. I like both. You can also do sweet. I know like when you go to like the mall, they have like caramel, but that's not part of this because this is a stadium sports food only. So hot pretzel, cheese sauce cannot be beat. Only thing it can beat in my eyes, my number 1, it's a good old fashioned hot dog. Classic hot dog. Go to a baseball game, you want a big hot dog, mustard, ketchup, relish, anything, cheese, chili, the toppings doesn't matter. If it's a great hot dog, good bun, can't be beat. It is the best, most filling stadium snack, I think, in my opinion. That's my top 3. Davis.
That's a solid top 3, Kyle.
I think so as well. I'm interested and intrigued and waiting for your top 3.
Well, both offensive linemen, we both have similar tastes, it seems like, too. So my top 3, I've thought long and hard about this. So, number 3 going in. I just like the classic burger. I mean, not the classic burger. We're big guys, so I mean, obviously, you gotta have like a 3x3 or
right.
A double with cheese.
Taking us back to our Las Vegas trip. You're a California boy. Obviously, you had to take me to an In-N-Out. There's one in Las Vegas. Double doubles, animal style fries.
You gotta go off the secret menu. Exactly. It's a lot of the time it's a 3x3 animal style fries. Now you know my order, everyone.
That is a good order.
It's a solid order.
I think we kept it to doubles because we knew we had to work afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, we'd have been taking a nap.
We would have exactly. We had the Raiders game to go to right after. Okay, Kyle, number 2 going into this, just like you. Popcorn. I can't go wrong with it. My girlfriend can attest. I am the biggest popcorn fan. Exactly. I will go to the theater and eat all the popcorn. She doesn't have a lot left. So I am a popcorn fanatic, just like you. Extra butter. I mean, I got to have extra butter on mine.
Absolutely.
It's going to a sporting game. You can't go wrong with it.
Oh, it's the best. Like you said, extra butter. And, I'm surprised you don't just get your own bag and then just a little side bag for, because obviously you know who eats the most popcorn here. So it's
it's a good idea. Usually just take it all.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then number 1, just like you, I'm going with the hot dog. Being an LA boy like me, always going to the Dodger Stadium, getting a Dodger dog. You just can't beat it. It's the ultimate sports food. You just put, you got your ketchup, mustard, relish. You got everything. You just sit down, watch a baseball game. It's such a good food.
It's finger food. It's easy to eat. One hand here, you got the other hand for your drink or for whatever else you got going on, your phone, whatnot. I admittedly have never been to a Dodgers game, and I've never had a Dodger dog before.
Wow,
I'm missing
You're
out.
Missing out. I gotta take you
missing out. But solid top 3 and like you said, like we both agree, hot dogs cannot be beat when it comes to stadium food.
You really can't. Those are some solid picks. I think we made some solid picks for our March Madness bracket.
Exactly.
I think our food items are also solid picks as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think
100%.
I think these maybe the order of which they go may vary for some people, but I think you can't deny that these options are all very, very good, and you can't say that you will never have one when you're at a stadium or at a game.
So I think that's going to wrap it up for us on this episode. You heard it from us. We got our picks for food items. We got our picks for March Madness. Yep. We got everything for you, and that's what we're hoping to do in this podcast. We're hoping to give you both sports and a little bit of extra fun.
Exactly. It was very fitting with the theme. The picks will come with different topics. But yeah, I think it's just going to be a fun and exciting ride. I cannot wait to keep going with you, man. This is going to be fun. It's going to be
Same with you.
It's going to be madness because it's March. Get it? Anywho, with that corny joke, we will wrap things up. Thank you so much for listening and watching the first episode of HNN Overtime with myself, Kyle Chinen, and Davis Pitner. Davis, where can you listen/watch our show?
Yeah, you could listen to it at any of our HNN platforms. You could listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, really anything, wherever you get your podcasts from. Or you can also watch it. See Kyle and our smiling faces.
Yep.
You could watch it on our Facebook and also on YouTube. So make sure to look out for that. But thank you guys again for watching and also listening. This is our first episode, and hopefully many more to come.
Exactly. Aloha.